of March celebrates reading and women's history, so it's a great time to recognize the literary contributions of women. My next guests are encouraging women to follow their literary dreams of writing and publishing a book. Here to tell us more is Elizabeth Mays, who is the president and CEO of Mays Multimedia. Her company has published more than 200 books written by women. She's joined by one of these published authors, Claudreen Jackson. Thank you both for being here.
Absolutely, thank you.
So tell us about the idea of being able to publish 200 books by women. That number's overwhelming.
Right? Yeah, and it's been over several years. So I took over my family's business back in 2011, which was, at that time was called Mays Printing, and we changed into a multimedia company. So about 2 years ago, I was in a predicament of my company where I was like, okay, it's time to take it to another level, and I started thinking about going back to my roots. So. A lot of people don't know, but my grandfather, when he started Mays Printing, it actually was called Valley Publishing Company. Right. And in the midst of having that conversation with my father, I was like, I think I want to start a publishing company, and I really want to make sure that we are really gearing towards telling the stories of authors. Where before we had published, several books before, but it wasn't really a strong pursuit. So when we marketed Valley Publishing Company, it's definitely it's been soaring like the wind. Yeah. And my overall goal is to make sure that I'm able to work with not only just women, but also women and men, and also institutions to publish books and literary works. Yeah.
The last time you were on the show, I think we were talking about the idea of businesses sort of moving from one generation to the next, and how they do that, and how they sort of preserve themselves. I mean, this is a really innovative way to keep that going, and as you point out, it's not just your father, it's your grandfather who started this business.
Most definitely, and a lot of the authors that we are working with are sometimes much older, so they've been working on these books for several years, and I can't tell you how many times I meet individuals and they're like, I've been wanting to write a book, or I've had a book in me, and I started my book, and I just don't know what to do next. And I've been studying publishing now, I would say more heavily for the past 3 to 4 years, so that I'm constantly being able to educate, inspire, and motivate individuals to write and also publish their books. So we work with authors, creatives, writers, historians, anywhere from ghostwriting to editing, to layout, to format, to cover design, to printing, and also post-marketing materials.
Wow.
Yes, it's a plethora of products that we offer.
Claudreen, tell us about your book.
My book is called The Butterfly, and it's based on a poem in the book, The Butterfly. It's a book of poetry. I say poetry and more because there's a section about getting older, because I'm 80, and that was daunting for me to publish a book at age 80, but Elizabeth made it much easier for me. She laid out a blueprint for how to get it done. It's my 4th book, but I thought I was too old. I'm not too old.
No such thing as that.
It has given me new energy. There's also a section of scriptures that helped me. And there's a section by my husband, who was a member of the Spinners, something that he wrote, poems that he wrote. So that's why it's poetry and more.
Yeah, talk a little more about your husband and the role he played with the
Purvis Jackson was the bass singer of the Spinners, and he was the one that always promoted my writing. Purvis Jackson Jr. is handicapped by autism. He's 44. He still can't read or write or talk or live independently, but the beautiful butterfly on the cover of the book is his artwork. Oh, really? Now, he didn't draw the butterfly. We had the butterfly form, but it's his art that makes the butterfly's design.
Wow, wow. And I see you have a butterfly pendant on today, or a necklace, right?
It's 30 years old. It was broken. I fixed it, repurposed it.
Yeah. What for you is the significance of that figure, the butterfly?
The butterfly, well, we know how the butterfly starts, don't we?
Right, as a caterpillar.
Right, and the poem, The Butterfly, is about the caterpillar that's trying to get out of the cocoon, and then somebody helps him, and then he can't fly, because the getting out of the cocoon is what makes the butterfly's wings strong enough to fly.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Very cool.
So I say that's unfulfilled destiny.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Nice. Talk about how the challenges that the publishing industry is facing everywhere right now,
Right.
sort of affect what you're doing?
Yeah, most definitely. So publishing companies can range from, doing primarily only print, and then some industries actually are heavy in, maybe more audiobooks and ebooks. We've actually merged every element necessary and possible. And the reason why, because I understand that, print has started to decline drastically over the years, but it still is not going to replace the fact that people want that tangible, hard
A lot of people
book.
need that.
They need that
feel, that tactile.
You need that
experience.
tactile, and I highly encourage individuals to always make sure that they have enough prints, because you never know if you want to sell online. You want to have vendor fairs, you want to have book signings. So we work in the arena of book printing, audiobooks, ebooks. So regardless of whatever medium it is that you want, we ensure that we're able to transcribe that.
Yeah. What about the barriers to people believing that they can be writers and that they should be published? I feel like that's one of the things, especially in the African American community, that we run into a lot.
Right. I mean, everyone has a story. Everyone has an experience. Everyone has grown up in a particular area, especially one of my clients, Detroit. This book called The Detroitist by Marcia Music, and it's an anthology to Detroit. And this is a story that's only she could tell.
Yeah.
Based upon growing up in Highland Park and
Know
being able to
Marcia Music well,
right?
right? Yeah.
Amazing woman. And she's only able to tell this story the way she wrote it. And I encourage individuals that it's really not about just feeling like, oh, I don't know if I have enough time or if I have enough popularity. My thing is that that's the one form of legacy that you're able to continue and carry on generation to generations.
Yeah.
I still have books from my grandfather that, especially one in particular, when my grandfather was he was a Tuskegee Airman, we still have his logbook. And these are images of the pilots and things that they were doing and stories that they were telling. And this is something we get to carry on to the next generation. So if you don't start, then how would you know what actually you can produce?
Yeah. Claudreen, talk about your path to becoming a writer and being confident about being a writer.
Well, we won't say confident, but the things that I write, I believe in, and that's part of it. And as a retired teacher, this is a Women's History Month and it's Reading Month, so it's an honor for me to be on your show at this time. But Paul Laurence Dunbar, Maya Angelou, Langston Hughes, suppose they hadn't written. Look at what we would have lost and what we would have missed out on. Now, I say if you have a story in you, get a spiral notebook and just start writing, or get a tape recorder. And you may not be doing it to get published, but just do it, whether you publish it or not.
Yeah. So when you're starting to think of what you're going to write, talk about your process. How do you get it down and get it out of you?
If there's a poem in me, it has to come out. One of my favorite poems in the book is one of my newest. It's called The Big 8-0, because at 80 years, I finally feel big. So it's called The Big 8-0. And I have a poem in there that I wrote when I was 65. So this book has been a long time in coming, but if you're writing things down, you have them for when you're ready to share them with the world. And I'm so old now that I'd better share.
No, because my next question is, what's your next book, right? You're not going to stop now.
Well, I have a children's book that's already written from when I was teaching, that my students and I wrote together. So I don't know whether I'll get that published or not, but it's there.
Yeah, well, maybe Elizabeth can.
We would.
Can help
Yeah,
you
we're
out
going to
with
work
that.
together diligently throughout the process.
All right.
Yeah, and Claudreen is one of my clients where she's an example of someone who had a story, who wanted to write it, and we happened to run into each other at an event and followed through, did a consultation, and I do one-on-one consultations with anyone who's interested in just understanding the process, how to build the momentum and how to stay on track.
Yeah. All right. Well, congratulations, and thanks
you.
for both of you
Thank
being
you.
here.
I appreciate it.